Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. I'm speaking to you today from the inside of our gazebo. That screen. Keep the mosquitoes and black flies and bees and wasps and everything else out. It's pretty hot today. It's the tail end of a heat wave and the sun is really sharp. So we've set up some curtains to kind of keep the sun from getting too crazy in here. Because at a certain point in the day, the breezes die down, sometimes sort of around just before noon, and then again somewhere between 3 and 5 o'clock, it can just settle right down, and it becomes really difficult. And I'm sure those of you who are in heat waves know even more than I do, because you don't have the breezes. And we do. We're pretty lucky that way. This is a fairly cool spot. So far, so good. All right, today I'm just going to bring you the conclusions of History Nonfiction Week that I think it's Drinking by My Shelf is hosting, which I didn't do any research. We were in town for about 24 hours where I had internet, but it's crazy trying to get all the laundry and groceries and everything sorted out. So getting a little bit of time at the end of that to do internet is mostly about uploading this and connecting with the kids. So I didn't do my due diligence. Anyhow, if I'm wrong, she's great book reviewer. So if I've sent you to the wrong channel, good for you. So that's Drinking by My Shelf. Her task was to read at least one nonfiction book during about a 10-day period in August, and I don't really know what day it is any day of the week, so I'm just doing it now. It's not 100% accurate, but anyhow, the book that I have been okay, so I'm not sure. It's glittery. Okay, can you get that? There we go. David Attenborough, Life on Earth. The Sunday Times bestseller. David Attenborough has taken, what would you say? I guess there was an original one, it says here, and he's taking into account modern scientific discoveries from around the globe in this new edition. And it is, as I said in the earlier video, this is taking you from early bacteria fossils right on through, I guess we're going to get to compulsive communicators, which I don't know what those are. I'm reading this a chapter at a night and loving it. I do love nature writing. I'm always fascinated by evolution, because the one piece in evolution that I'm always a bit of a struggle, like in my imagination, I understand the sort of the broad strokes of it and everything, but what we end up with are fossils that are of a species. And so when the evolutionary guys say things like such and such a creature, let's say, and then the crocodile develops from that. So we've got, the little inchworm. It's got a little bit of a leg, and then we've got the crocodile from Africa at 6 meters. I just think, where are all the guys in between? And I don't know whether those are different species or, anyways, to me, it seems to have jumps. And it's always been interesting to me that you get a range of, let's just say, mastodons in the limestone, and you don't get their predecessors at all. So I don't know, that piece just always boggles my mind a little bit, because I think, well, it can't just be, and because there's complete herds of mastodons or what have you, you don't get just a leap of one creature. You seem to get like a thrust of change. And so it's always interesting to me to get something that's a little more deeper, that fills in the gaps. And that's sort of what Attenborough does. The other thing he does is he really contextualizes the lives of the beings that precede us. And so you will encounter the coral reef, for instance, and the different kinds of creatures that are no longer with us. But you can, if you've ever watched or been to the Great Barrier Reef, you get a real sense of where they're hiding and how they're mating and what they're using their different colors for. And of course, that's a whole interesting topic in and of itself, is how different animals use their colors. So the fish do they do it one way. It's the same. It's either for attracting mates or for defensive purposes. But how a fish is going to do it in the coral reef versus how a caterpillar is going to do it on dry land is just, it's cool. So I guess I get a bit weenie about this. I'm really, really, really enjoying it, and he is a really nice writer. He really, I don't know this. I'm just speculating, but I wonder if he writes his own scripts for the TV shows that we watch. So you can hear his voice in this, and it's just lovely. And I think I think this would make a great gift. Yeah, anybody who loves kind of nature writing and evolution and David Attenborough, I think that's a top notch pick. So it's going to get a 5 out of 5 for me. I'm not done. I think I have. Whoops, sorry guys. Smacked it with the book. I think I've got about 5 more chapters to go, and yeah, by 8 o'clock at night I'm just waiting to go to bed so I can read them. All right, this is Perline Oliver, Canada's Black Crusader for Civil Rights. It's edited by, I had his name just in front of me 2 seconds ago. I'm surprised that's not like more present. Edited by Ronald Kaplan. Ronald Kaplan is an author who's done a number of different kinds of dives into Canadian heritage, and he is or was on the advisory committee for the Public Archives of Nova Scotia. So he's also the Cape Breton magazine publisher. So he's really done a good job on searching different kinds of topics that have to do with Nova Scotian history. This is taken from 2 different kinds of transcripts that were done. One was an audio kind of, there were videoed conversations with Dr. James Morrison and Catherine Arsenault's taped interviews that they're all available at St. Mary's Archives. And so what Ronald Kaplan has done is he's taken these and he's sort of verbatim pulled the text. Now, I think that being interviewed, Perline is not as well spoken as she probably was as a public speaker. She was almost a nonstop public speaker in her, I would say in her middle ages. I don't really know when that sort of activity came to a halt. It's not very clear in there. But it's only about 130 pages. It's super quick. No, it's not even. It's about 100 pages. It's a super quick read. She's really an interesting character. She had quite a lot to do with opening up eyes, more than anything, opening up eyes, making people alert to the conditions of Nova Scotian Black people, in particular young women who wanted to get into nursing. And the hospitals at that time in the 30s and 40s were closed not only to nursing staff and doctors, but to patients. So it was really a very interesting point in Black civil rights in terms of those awarenesses being made and changes being made. And you would even get situations where patients would refuse the treatment of Black nurses. She also talks about her work in different communities where at the time that she was doing her work there were still descendants of slaves in places like Beachville. It's a charming little book. I think this book could have been longer, because what we don't really get is her biography. We kind of are getting a snapshot of her civil rights work, but she had 5 boys, and she was very involved with a huge number of different organizations, and I'm pretty sure she would have done 1 or 2 different speeches that would have been worth quoting. She also receives a doctorate, but they don't mention it in anywhere at all. I'm going to make a guess that it was Acadia University. It's not really a good guess because that's where her husband was educated. He received 2 degrees, and that's where they celebrated their 50th anniversary. So that's just a bit of a leap. I really don't know for sure. Anyways, there's a lot of information that was missing. There's a picture of her sitting in front of a memorial stained glass for her son Philip. So what happened there? There's just all kinds of cool things like what happened there? What happened there? So it also talks a little bit about Viola Desmond, because she was part of Viola Desmond's defense team, if you like. She was not a lawyer, but she was responsible for the fundraising and encouraging things to move along. She was in the court while things took place. And, two things I didn't realize about Viola Desmond, which is a whole other topic, is that it wasn't a court case that was being done on race. It was to do with the amusement tax. If you were bought a ticket for the black seats in New Glasgow at that time, you had to sit in the upper ranks, and you had to pay 2 cents worth of tax for your ticket. But if you sat in the downstairs part where the whites were, you had to pay a 3 cent tax. So because she just bought a ticket and she asked for the downstairs, but the clerk sold her the upstairs, she went to the downstairs, and therefore this 1 cent tax was not being paid, although she was unaware of this at the time. So she sits down, there's the whole blow up of things, and instead of the court case being tried on the access for black people into the theater, it was on this 1 cent tax. So by the time the court cases and everything came in, it was like the 1 cent was nothing. Anyway, she lost the case, which I didn't realize, and she lost the appeal because it was tried on the tax thing, of which I think if you did that today, I'm not sure that she would really be considered guilty, because that was the clerk's problem, not she paid. She wasn't even really given an opportunity to pay that extra tax. So it'd be very interesting to see how that court case would come out today. Anyhow, Perline was very much involved in that whole process, and how do you explain this very complicated, stupid choice of the lawyers to the black community, which is thinking that it's going to be a trial based on race. So it was really a catastrophe in several different ways. So I really liked this book. I would give it about a 4 out of 5 because, as I say, I would have liked a timeline or a biography or maybe just even just a flow chart of what she had done with whom and when, just to give me a little bit more context, because she herself skips a lot of details, and she very, very, very much underplays the role that she had. She recognizes that she was a speaker, and she was poking her fingers at white society through the Rotaries clubs and the Businessmen's Association and so forth, but I don't think she really takes credit for just how strong those pokes were. On the side of nonfiction, but I bought this at the same time as those 2 other books, The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I loved this book. It was shelved with the YA, and I'm not sure that was a great choice. I can understand it. Linus Baker is a caseworker in the Department of Charge of Magical Youth. At 40, he lives in a tiny house with a devious cat and his old vinyl records for company. But his quiet life is about to change. Linus is summoned by extremely upper management and given a curious, highly classified assignment to travel to an orphanage on a distant island and determine whether 6 dangerous magical children are so dangerous, in fact, that they are likely to bring about the end of the world. So it's just the kids in here are fabulous. They are so funny. They are without filters. They are energetic. They have got wonderful imaginations. The characters, their magical abilities they're wonderful, wonderful choices. Not just, can you make something levitative? There's one boy, Chauncey, who is sort of an amalgamation between a jellyfish and another unknown creature, but he's a boy, and he's sentient, and his dream in life is to be a bellhop. He's just adorable. We also come into contact with Lucifer, whose nickname is Lucy. He's 6 years old, and he is the son of the devil and an unknown woman, and he's just outrageous. He's so wonderful. So Linus has to go. He's a 40-year-old repressed man whose life is dreary beyond description. And he meets up with Arthur Parnassus, who is well, I don't want to give it all away because it's just so full of little quirks along the way. It's just you're reading something and then Linus will pop up with something striking, or he will overcome his fears and do something brave. And so there's all these little like pop-ups that happen, and they're just wonderful. Um, Anyhow, Linus goes and meets the children and Arthur, and it's on a wonderful island in a cerulean sea. The local village has become tainted with prejudice and racism, and this is the problem that the children are dealing with. There's also a question around sexuality for Linus, but I don't think he's so repressed. I don't think he even knows he has a sexuality. So there's just so many wonderful discovery points in here. What I'm not sure about as far as it being shelved for YA is the main character is a 40-year-old man, and we don't get to his question of sexuality till well into the book. So I'm not sure what the appeal would be for a youth. And the children are definitely all under the age of 10 with one exception. And so it certainly is not a book for young children simply because we don't spend enough time with those characters. But there are some really, really hard-hitting questions in here about perceptions and racism and judgments and sort of the travel of fear through not knowing things. So how you can get one person who's a little bit anxious about someone they don't know, and all of a sudden the whole town can be erupting in violence and so forth. So there's also institutional racism, and the government has got, like, if you've got a child on your hands who doesn't have any parents that can bring about the end of the world, I think most government officials would be somewhat concerned. So how do you deal with that? He's a little boy. So there's a lot of really interesting questions in this book, and I really laughed a number of times, and that's and I'm easy to provoke into laughter, so that's good. Also, just in terms of some of the other reading that I've been doing that I haven't spoken about, which is quite a lot of 2 audiobooks that were really hard to listen to, and a few other hardcover books that were very hard to read. This is just such a delightful surprise, because it really was not on my radar at all. Now, I believe that book 2 is supposed to come out in September, and it is going to be called Under the Whispering Door. Death is only their beginning. I don't like to read, there is a chapter in here, you can read the first chapter. I do not do that because I don't want it to color my expectations. But the author's note says, this story explores life and love as well as loss and grief. There are discussions of death in different forms: quiet, unexpected, and death by suicide. Please read with care. Now, as I said, I just have no idea who anybody is, but based on the writings of T.J. Klune in this book, which I give a 5 out of 5, I think I'm going to go for it. And I do think for some reason there's something that tells me that there is a 3rd book on the way. So, something to look forward to. Well, that's it for me today. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and that the summer is a good one for you. Take care. Bye-bye.